Hereby grant pardon to persons below on two conditions: public health and humanitarian ground. This is not to decongest prisons, but the pardon is on public health and humanitarian grounds. In other words, these people that have been pardoned have some medical challenges, and it is on that background that the president has pardoned them. There are a total of 79, and the rest are Ugandans, except one who is a Venezuela national. Number 0630 of 2018, Dolores Rodriguez Fagudes from Ruzira Women. My hand, under his hand, His Excellency's hand, on the 3rd January 2022. Yoweri General Retired Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, President.
All right, now Ankole Diocese has embarked on a drive to create avenues through which it will raise revenue to support the church mission and also foster sustainable development plans to grow the church activities in the diocese. According to the Diocesan Planning and Investment Coordinator, Paul Tumuhwere, the church needs to diversify activities to meet the increasing financial demands, adding that learning from the COVID experience, the church can no longer rely only on contributions from its members.
Bishop Sheldon Mwesigwa, the Vice President, retired Major Jessica Alupo, was in Mbarara and Isinjiro districts, where she visited some of Ankole Diocese income-generating projects aimed at complementing member contributions in church work. The Vice President opened Millennium Circle in Isinjiro, founded by the diocese in 2012. The circle has 7 branches, a saving threshold of over 6 billion, a loan portfolio of 11 billion and share capital of over 2 billion shillings with a membership of 16,000. To date, it has transformed into a full-service bank. She called upon the people to make use of available increasing opportunities provided by the circle, which she said targeted people irrespective of political or religious affiliations.
Circles are very important grassroots institutions that bring people together, irrespective of religion, tribe, clan, color, gender, age, to pool resources and promote a savings culture, and also subsequently provide loans that can assist small enterprises to grow into giant projects.
She also opened a 3 billion St. Paul shopping mall, a multi-purpose commercial mall in Mbarara City aimed at generating income for the diocese, and also commissioned a 2 billion Bishop Stewart University Nursing and Health Sciences Faculty Rubaro Mbarara. The facility, including classrooms, office and hostel, will facilitate the training of nurses to diploma and degree levels. Bishop Stewart University has other faculties of law, education, theology and finance and management at the main campus in Kakoba in Mbarara City. The Vice President, later addressing Christians at the diocese headquarters at Ruharo in Mbarara during the Diocesan Day celebrations, appreciated the Church of Uganda and other religious groups for complementing government efforts in providing essential services to the population in Uganda.
Developments I have witnessed are a true sign that the National Resistance Movement government has provided a safe and secure atmosphere for any hardworking and serious and focused citizen to participate in eliminating poverty through income generating activities, but also involve themselves in human resource development in order to defeat disease and ignorance.
She also commended Bishop Sheldon Mwesigwa, the Ankole Diocese Bishop, for leading a development and purposeful crusade and his increased participation in the socio-economic development of Ankole and the country for the several development projects he has initiated. Bishop Mwesigwa thanked government for certification of the university, which he said has a student population both local and foreign of 5,000.
We call upon parents and guardians to choose Bishop Stewart University, and you've been doing it. That's why it is really growing. When it comes to nursing programs and all other academic programs, yes, Namara, Jesus satisfies. In the name of God the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit.
And Government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Internal Affairs, has called off the exercise of testing incoming truck drivers for COVID-19 at Malaba border point to reduce congestion. Jacob Simunyo, the ministry spokesperson, says this is to help in the incoming of essential commodities.
Since the beginning of this year, there has been a standoff at the Kenya-Uganda border of Malaba and Busia between truck drivers, tax collectors and Ministry of Health officials over mandatory COVID-19 testing of all incoming truck drivers. The delay has caused a crisis of essential commodities, especially fuel, forcing prices to hike beyond imaginable.
Testing has been called off until the backlog is cleared. As of last week, it would take us about 14 days to clear the backlog because the trucks are quite many.
Government has announced the halt of COVID-19 testing for a period of 14 days to reduce on the backlog at the border points.
Reduce the congestion by cutting off some of the formalities, including testing. So what is taking place now is clearance of the backlog. And that is done, Port Health screens the travelers, the truck drivers, and they proceed to immigration for clearance and to customs for clearance.
The Internal Affairs Ministry has raised concern over former diplomats who failed to return executive passports to get those commiserating with their status.
So I'd like to call upon all those who have had that status of holding official passports and holding diplomatic passports, that it is by virtue of status. Even if you paid for it, it is because of your office, not because you had money. So please hand over the passports and don't haggle over retaining the status because you don't have it. As you know, in the civil service, once it is time up, you are retired, you go home. You become an ordinary citizen, you get your ordinary passport.
The move is targeting former MPs who feel uncomfortable to return to their common life as other Ugandans. Abdul Nasir Lubwama, UBC News.
Now, Kampala Capital City Authority (KCCA) has embarked on an operation of cleaning the city by removing kiosks from the streets of Kampala. The authority's physical planner, Albert Amotia Gaba, says the kiosks congest and block walkways, making the city messy. However, the traders have faulted the authority for having carried on the operation without prior notice.
It was a sad day for traders who operate in kiosks along the streets of downtown Kampala as KCCA launched a crackdown on these kiosks in the name of cleaning the streets. The operation that started mid-morning around the clock tower in the heart of Kampala left hundreds of traders stranded.
My kiosk has already been taken, it's there on the vehicle, it has already been taken. Yet I have the license, I have the work permit.
Isma is one of the traders that has been affected in the KCC operation of removing the kiosks. He says he owned more than 10 kiosks on the streets of Kampala, employing over 20 people.
There is no kiosk which Agaba has never eaten money on that kiosk. We always pay 550,000 for every kiosk located in a place, minus this work permit.
The traders under their umbrella body, Uganda Street Vendors Association, have faulted KCCA for failure to give notice before carrying on the operation.
When you talk to these people, all of them, no one has received the notice that today, Monday, they are coming to take all these kiosks. Their owners would have taken them. Because before you bring a kiosk in Kampala, you're given an authority from the KCCA. You first go there is what we call location permit. They give it to you, and you bring anyone in the physical planning to come and monitor where you're going to operate from. So at least these people should always give notices.
They also blamed KCCA for having issued licenses for their businesses, well aware that the kiosks are illegal.
Street business, of course, you're seeing everybody's idle. Now they have created, we are now, I don't know, I will not call it unemployment. Now people are idle completely. They don't know where to start from. Each kiosk you see here has been consisting of 2 workers, each one of them. Each of these kiosks you see here. And in fact, minus those workers inside the kiosk, there are those boys and girls who move with airtime, loading for people around the city and around the park. They are all now jobless. So these things, the government should not operate like this.
However, the KCCA physical planner in charge of the operation, Albert Agaba, disputes the claims of traders, saying that their businesses along the streets are illegal.
Most of these kiosks you see here, they have been placed illegally. They are blocking access ways, they are blocking walkways, and they are trying to clean the city. And some of them, of course, they have obtained the licenses. But with licenses, as we said earlier, that if you have a license, you are authorized to operate in the town, in the city. So that license can be used somewhere else, not necessarily in an illegal kiosk.
The operation will be carried on in all divisions of Kampala, including Rubaga, Nakawa, Kawempe Division, Machindi, and Kampala Central Division. Sharon Chamdisha and Aguta for UBC News.
Well, now Kampala's resident city commissioner Hudu Hussein's visit to Safi Market in a bid to ascertain the issue of unoccupied stalls has raised mixed feelings among some vendors. Some of the vendors allege that the market is in dire state and call for renovation, while others concur with the commissioner's directive that vendors should vacate the streets and occupy the empty stalls in the market.
Directive of Kampala Capital City Resident City Commissioner of Street Vendors and Hawkers to vacate the streets has been respected by many following the deployment in the city. This has been followed by the demolition of kiosks in Kampala by Kampala Capital City Enforcement Team in respect of the directive. Susan Kushaba, the chairperson of Wino Market, thanked KCCA and police for evicting street vendors because they had retarded the development of markets.
Some has stalls and shops in the market. Although some went on streets because of rent in Central Kudeni. That is why we want the government to take full responsibility of markets, to remove the ownership in markets, because rents are also high.
To some vendors, Hud Hussein has scored. Kampala City Resident City Commissioner Hud Hussein also paid a courtesy visit to Usafi Market, where vendors have been encouraged to occupy.
They claim that there are no stalls in Usafi, but I hope you have seen for yourselves the stalls. They also claim that there are no toilets. Here are the toilets. Very clean.
According to vendors, the market is in dire state, which Hood Hussein attributed to negligence of Kampala Capital City Authority and urged vendors to occupy markets.
Musafe kondeninga bantu bameka tutekewo ebintu musafe afuka sitowa terina ajimanyi mu Uganda ya space ya gwao abana bebaleta abatembe bebaleta baba waka space kali bane baleta bamama nyago baba wa space yeno yajjula dda kituufu katonya nenda fenga bakulembeze tufubye okutwala omulanga guno mu KCCA nga balandi road.
However, there are contradiction between the RCC's office and KCCA on who should consult who on the governance of Kampala.
I may not take all of them serious because some of them are serving a third term. Some are serving a fourth term, meaning they've been in the city for more than 20 years and they have not done anything on the issue of street vending. So if we see that they are in a deep slumber, sleeping, and we come up to show them what to do, and they start staggering that we are not consulting them, if they have not done it in 20 years, will they do it now?
According to Hood Hussein, the operation to get rid of vendors from the streets of Kampala will continue as long as they fail to follow directives. So that Kai, UBC News.
Now, the Uganda Police Force is searching for the inspector of schools in Kawempe Division over a fire that gutted a school during the weekend. Police spokesperson Fred Enanga says the Crescent Junior School Chibedi in Kawempe was in poor condition to host learners. So far, three staff of this school are under police custody.
The fire, which caught over the weekend in the two schools of Crescent Primary School in Kawempe and St. Joseph Primary School Kiotela, claimed 5 lives. Police investigations indicate as the conditions of these schools were not compatible to harbor students, which undermines the relevance of the inspector of schools in the area.
Managed to summon the inspector of schools for Kawempe Division, because sometimes I remember we came up with a message where we were supposed to work with the inspectors of schools to inspect all schools to ensure that there are sufficient safety standards in place. So we want to find out if an inspection was done by the inspector of schools in charge Kawempe Division.
At Crescent Primary School Kibedi in Kawempe, police have arrested 3 staffs over neglect of duty, which led to the death of juveniles.
School head teacher Seruotwaha, who is arrested, together with the teacher who was supposed to be on duty, called Ahmed Sengova. We also have the school warden, called Kabibi Hamid. Those 3 are in custody.
Police is intensifying operations on schools which fail to meet obligations of hosting students, especially boarding schools. In another development, police is hunting for UPDF officer Major Okuwa Alpha over the incident where traffic officer Police Constable Mokewes Ronald was shot while on duty.
This is quite embarrassing. It is an act of brutality. It is an act of impunity, lawlessness, and unprofessionalism by selected officers. With the military police and CMI, the officer who is attached to CMI with colleagues have gone into hiding, but
police is holding 2 pastors of Healing Deliverance Church in Jinja district over child trafficking. Police established this kidnapped a juvenile for ritual sacrifices.
Charged by aggravated trafficking involving a child whom they recruited and abducted. They took abuse of power for purposes of human sacrifice. So ritual murder of a child, and you are pastors and you call yourselves, people come to your church, Healing Deliverance Church.
The public is cautioned over cyberbullying against pregnant teenagers as it may attract security interventions. Abdul Nasir Lowama, UBC News.
The High Court Judge Joseph Yaruhanga has finally visited the disputed land in a case involving 15 children of the late Yofesi Chomwa. The disputed land located in Hoima district is over 35 acres. However, relatives have decried the delay by court to pronounce itself over the matter for 15 years now. The case was filed by Aliganyira Yakobo, a son to the late Yofesi Chomwa, against siblings accusing them for trespassing on the land, claiming to be the rightful owner.
The contested land between the 15 children of the late Yofesi Chomwa is over 35 acres, situated on plot number 38, block number 19 at Bugahaya Chantale village in Hoima district. Although this land was got on a silver plate from the late Yofesi Chomwa, wrangles erupted when Aliganyira Yakobo, one of the 15 children of the late Yofesi Chomwa, wanted to sell over the 35 acres, claiming to be the rightful owner and the administrator.
Tufiiridwa bingi, tuwononeddwa ebintu byaffe, ssente zifudde. Buli bwe tuba tuli awo ogenda okulaba poliisi ng'etutwala. Ekituufu ekivaayo eky'ettaka waliwo bwe kivaayo ne bakitulaga naye akaseera ne katuuka oluusi ne bakiggyako.
According to the 14 late Chomwa's children, the land in question was later distributed between the siblings. However, Aliganyira Yakobo did not agree with the move.
Judge Rafael Ochan yasalamu n'agamba ekyapa yakifuna mu butali butuufu. Olonga ina nabo abantu abalala bali ku ttaka lino abeeyawaabira.
Aliganyira filed a suit in High Court of Masindi against the heir of the family, Patrick Baguma, accusing him of trespass.
Abakwate n'okutugenda mu kuuti. Mulingo gutwikaire gonza bano bona. Ogenda awo ne bakubuzabuza akuleeta abantu ba niba nk'abano ba hansaro ne bakuleka naako mumanyire. Kandi naaka kandi biki.
Tubeera ku pressure mama afa tuse n'okufa olwa pressure. Yewu bamasindi mukaze mukadde myaka 84.
The presiding judge Joseph Yaruhanga visited the locus to ascertain the evidence brought to court from the two parties. The survey was conducted in the presence of both parties, area residents and leaders, and some squatters on the land.
Kandi n'abataka nabo ndi batotoroma abasangirwemu bakaletwamu ise waabo kyomya niyo yabayikiriza abataka
nitumuweta ku lulango tuwamala ensonga omundi yangaga kujja mukika lukeno atakuzoka ono kujja atakuija.
The family members want court to pronounce itself over this matter.
Ensonga zihoire buli muntu ateekaane tusiisire ebintu byaitu bingi.
President Nabanja Nabakoba Minister w'ebyettaka batuyambe.
The family members want court to pronounce itself over this matter.
Meanwhile, the FDC party has appealed to relevant government authorities charged with a mandate to stabilize the escalating fuel prices and hiked school fees to own up their responsibilities and take action against opportunists.
On every litre of fuel, as per the last budget, government was picking 1,600 per litre. 1,600 per litre. It is the reason why you are seeing that one of the things that is causing inflation in this country is the fuel. That is why when all other countries' prices are low, ours keep high. Now when you bring in the mafiaism, because when you create such a crisis, you create what in economics you call hoarding. So those who have fuel are now keeping it. So now it is like a deal. If you need, someone tells a jerrycan of petrol, of diesel, someone tells you, for me I have it at 7,000. If you want it, I'm bringing it. So now we could even find a cartel coordinating, please, first stop, don't deal with this matter, so that in a week's time, because actually if it keeps here for about 2 weeks, some people are going to become very rich. Nobody has done an audit of how many teachers are not at school. How many schools have not opened? because some have not opened because they don't have teachers. Others have not opened because they don't even have the money to do the basics, pay for the basics. Others have not opened because parents don't have money. Would think that government, this would be the right time to see that there is a government.
With that, we take a quick break. When we return, more details. This is News Tonight.
Pay school fees conveniently using MTN Momo. Dial *165 *80#. Enter the student code provided by the school. It will show you the student name and the class plus outstanding balance. Enter the amount you want to pay. Enter PIN. You will get a notification confirming payment. It's simple, secure, and convenient.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
Mohamed Salah, Naby Keita, Kalidou Koulibaly, Sadio Mane, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. When you hear these names, you may think you're probably watching the English Premier League or UEFA Champions League, but it's none of those. It's the 2021 Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations from 9th January to February 6th, 2022. All these global elite football stars will be in Cameroon to grace the continent's most prestigious sporting event. 52 games, 24 countries, one continent, one trophy, one station, live, free and exclusive to your public broadcaster. UBC, inspiring Uganda. Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Parents, guardians and caregivers, there's a confirmed polio outbreak in Kampala, and therefore the Ministry of Health will conduct a national house-to-house polio immunization campaign. The first round of the campaign will take place from Friday, the 14th of January to Sunday, the 16th of January 2022 in all districts of Uganda. During the national house-to-house polio immunization campaign, health workers will come to your homes and immunize all your children under 5 years of age. Please note that the national house-to-house polio immunization campaign does not replace the routine immunization. The polio vaccine is safe, effective, and free.
Parents, guardians and caregivers, please ensure that all your children under 5 years of age are immunized against polio during the National House-to-House Immunization Campaign from Friday 14th January to Sunday 16th January 2022. The dates for the second round of the campaign will be announced in due course. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF, World Health Organization and partners.
Special announcement from the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs. Government of Uganda, through the Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs, will conduct a countrywide exercise of verifying and updating records on the military veterans' payroll to ensure a smooth payment of pensions and gratuities to the military veterans or survivors who have not yet received payment from government. The exercise will equally target all veterans, estate administrators, orphans, widows and widowers who are already receiving monthly pension. This countrywide verification exercise will take place from the 17th of January to the 4th of February 2022 and will be supported by the Office of the Resident District Commissioners (RDCs), the District Internal Security Officers (DISO), the Office of the LC5 Chairman, LCs and the Judiciary. The lists of the affected persons will be displayed at the district and sub-county headquarters by the 7th of January 2022. The Ministry of Defense and Veteran Affairs will oversee the exercise and will visit each district on specific dates. The categories to be handled will include backlog and payroll. Backlog will include living veterans, estate of veterans deceased in retirement, estates of officers and militants deceased while in active service, ex gratia living veterans, ex gratia estate. Payroll will include living veterans on payroll and estates of officers and militants deceased while in active service on payroll. The requirements will include discharge certificate or police letter for lost discharge certificate, bank statement signed and stamped, national ID, NS7 revised pension form, provisional 2010 document form with the officers or militants photograph in lieu of PSF 18, estate bank account statement where applicable, original and certified letters of administration where applicable, death certificate where applicable, minutes of family meetings where applicable, LC1 letter where applicable, PSF 20 pension form duly stamped and signed by the cow, provisional 2020 document form from UPDF, estate of veterans deceased in retirement on payroll, physical presence of widow and orphans with their national IDs or NIN number. For those that don't have national IDs, birth certificate for the children reflected on PAB minutes and records not migrated from the Ministry of Public Service. Announced by Honorable Huda Abason Oleru, Minister of State for Defense and Veteran Affairs.
Enjoy convenience today with Airtel Money School Pay, FlexiPay, or Bridge Schools. To pay school fees using FlexiPay, dial *185#. Select option 6 School Fees. Select option 3 FlexiPay. Enter the school code. Enter the student number. Enter the amount. Enter the PIN number to complete payment. Pay school fees conveniently using Airtel Money. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Tonight. The government is in advanced stages of finalizing the Parish Development Management Information System to enable proper collection of data in implementation of the Parish Development Model. This, according to the Ministry of ICT and National Guidance, is part of the Digital Transformation Program to realize the benefits of transforming the country. ICT Ministry now seeks 70.5 billion shillings in the next financial year 2022-23 to boost the parish development model, especially dealing with the mindset change to production.
The Ministry of Information, Communication, Technology and National Guidance, with its sector departments, appeared before the Parliamentary Committee on ICT to defend its budget framework paper for the next financial year 2022-2023. Cabinet Minister for ICT Dr. Chris Baryomonsi told the members of Parliament how the digital transformation program under the Ministry of ICT will enable government harvest fruits of economic transformation. Dr. Baryomonsi asserts that government is to improve the national ICT infrastructure coverage to enable connectivity is enhanced in all parts of the country.
Because like during COVID, when children went home, the students, now e-learning became a challenge for students who were in up-country areas, so we would want connectivity extended.
But this will come at a cost.
Government has to reduce taxes on IT devices and laptops if we are to encourage more people to use these services.
Minister Chris Baryomonsi also told Parliament about President Yoweri Museveni's directive to the Ministry of Finance, Planning and Economic Development to increase the funding of Uganda Broadcasting Corporation from 22 billion to 40 billion to enable it clear part of its outstanding debts.
On the request of the ministry, HE the President directed the URA to write off both the principal and the penalties, that is the entire debt owed by UBC. Number two, HE the President also directed the NSSF to write off the penalties and allow UBC to pay the balance only.
Our agency, UBC, also requires additional financing to upgrade its existing transmission sites with redundancy, deployment of FTA TV channels with hybrid broadcast license, and upgrading of radio station facilities. amounting to 51.12 billion.
After government introduced the parish development model as an intervention for wealth creation, the Minister of ICT has told Parliament that the initiative will start operations in the third quarter of financial year 2021-2022. However, government, through the Ministry of ICT, seeks for 70.594 billion shillings to boost the implementation of the parish development model, especially the pillar of the mindset change.
The ideological orientation of Ugandans to appreciate that they are citizens, to have that patriotic sense of responsibility, but also most importantly, to have that mindset that makes them aware that they must work hard and prosper.
The meeting, chaired by the chairperson of the Parliamentary Committee on ICT and National Guidance, Moses Magogo, was attended by Uganda Broadcasting Corporation Deputy Management Director, Maurice Mugisha, and other key sector departments in the Ministry of ICT. Daniel Mugoya, UBC News.
And civil society leaders have pleaded to President Yoweri Museveni to ease the ban on the operation of the Democratic Governance Facility program that supported a number of NGOs. This was at a press conference held at the NGO Forum headquarters in Kampala, while giving their message for the past year and what they think should be done in the year 2022.
The Constitution of Uganda gives room and authority for non-government organizations to extend services aimed at advocating for development and rights of Ugandans. It's on this background that many non-government organizations exist in the country. This Monday, civil society leaders headed by the chairperson of Uganda National NGO Forum, Margaret Sekaja, applauded government for the commendable job in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic in the past 2 years.
The government of Uganda has secured through both procurement and donations over 22 million doses of vaccines. We applaud these efforts and encourage all Ugandans to get vaccinated.
However, they cited the challenges that transpired with the general elections last year, which they say were not free and fair.
In the period leading and after the 2021 elections, we witnessed a record low in adherence to the rule of law.
There is need for government of Uganda to really look at these industrial actions by the health workers.
They also had reservations on the handling of opposition politicians by security agencies and those in the opposition while arresting them, and disrespect of human rights by the judiciary, among other issues.
Over the past year, we have seen several episodes where government has disrespected court orders, disrespected due process, and disrespected the judiciary, which has actually made the citizenry lose confidence. Sewanyana and Honorable Segirinya were arrested brutally. They were taken to court, security officers but behaving like goons, rearresting them brutally.
The year 2021 saw government stop Democratic Governance Facility DGF works, something they say has greatly affected the performance of many non-government organizations. It's on this note that they plead to President Museveni to ease the ban on the DGF program and its operations.
That as a result of this suspension, a lot of activities have been paralyzed and citizens are suffering. It's now over a year. The parties to these discussions, both the development partners and the government, have reached concluding agreements and have agreed on what they were supposed to put in place. We are now urging the very person who suspended it to lift this suspension.
Sarah Birete, the Executive Director, Center for Constitutional Governance, wants a committee established to monitor their operation in the country.
If we had the adjudication committee, the decisions taken by the board, if any civil society organization is aggrieved, they are appealed to the adjudication committee.
I'm Ivan Juko for UBC News.
And the Buganda Katikiro Charles Peter Maiga has advised county chiefs and Luchiko members to dissolve any talk intended at tarnishing the kingdom's name. He was speaking in the first sitting of the 29th Great Buganda Luchiko in Bulange, Mengo.
On 13th December last year, the Kabaka of Buganda, Ronald Mwenda Mutebi, opened the 29th Buganda Luchiko and directed Luchiko members to discuss on matters of corruption, defending Buganda's name among others. The members of the Luchiko sat to discuss matters as directed by the Kabaka in the last sitting. Addressing the members, Katikiro Maiga advised them to be at the forefront of fighting corruption that is hindering service delivery.
Mbakoowola mwenna okuba abasaale mu kulwana olutalo olw'enguzi Ssaabasajja Kabaka lwakoleezezza. Buli omu kufa abeera embega wa munne ku nsonga y'enguzi. Era abo abeenyigira mu mizeejo tuleme kubattira ku liiso.
It's now a week since schools reopened. Maiga wants measures to be put on students that got pregnant during the lockdown and not to be denied chance to continue with their studies.
Afunyisizza omwana olubuto yayimiridde luddawo. Ekyo kyonze nkiraba nga tekyogerwako. Teri muwala afuna lubuto nga Bikira Maaliya. Wabaawo omusajja yalumufunyisizza.
Maiga emphasized the fight against AIDS. He appealed to the county chiefs, Luchiko members and all leaders in the kingdom to take the lead.
N'ozaala mu bakazi ono n'ono tolina n'omu gw'okebeza siriimu nti osajjalaata. Ndowooza tubyewala ebyo by'okusajjalaata omulembe gwabyo gwaggwaako.
The Minister for Finance in Buganda, who also doubles as the second deputy Katikiro, says despite COVID money achievements have been registered like the work of thatching Kasubi tombs, among other activities of the kingdom.
Weewaawo nga tunamalako mwaka gwa byansimbi guno essubi linaba libunye ku muzibwazalampanga wonna.
Some of Luchiko members were concerned that male parents have neglected talking to their children and left all responsibilities to female.
Naye abaami mutulekedde nnyo abaana ng'ate naddala abaana abalenzi omukyala toyina bw'omutandika mukola ki?
Wange bw'aba amanyi nti ndi mwesigwa gy'ali naye aneesiga diyinza okuba erimu ku kkubo esobola okulwanyisa HIV.
Few members attended physically while others attended virtually to avoid the spread of COVID-19. Andrew Sebira compiled this report.
The Initiative for Social and Economic Rights, together with other advocates, have filed an application to seeking court for an order of mandamus to instruct the Line Ministry and to regulate fees and non-tuitional requirements requested by schools. This follows the unnecessary hiking of school fees and school requirements by the different institutions that have made it difficult for some learners to report back.
Following the recent reopening of schools, school heads have turned the go back to school a lucrative business for them to hike school fees and asking for unnecessary requirements from parents. This undertaking is raising questions on whether parents are investing in businesses or fulfilling their obligation to educate their children. Today, the Initiative for Social and Economic Rights, together with other advocates, have filed an application to instruct the Education Ministry to regulate school fees.
To ask court to instruct the Minister of Education, Honorable Janet Kataha Museveni, to use the power given to her by the Education Act under Section 57 to be able to regulate fees. When we talk about fees, we're talking about tuition, or what the ordinary Ugandan calls school fees, and then the non-tuition requirements.
To invoke her powers under Section 57 of the Education Act that enjoins her to make regulations about fees.
Byomhanji says school heads are only looking at how they can make profits out of the businesses they put up rather than prioritizing education.
Can't let education be sacrificed at the altar of profit. Most of these people that came to invest in this sector are looking out for profit.
Education is a social amenity. It is an equalizer. It cannot be reduced into a commodity. It is a public good It should be affordable, it should be of good quality, and it should be accessible.
It was brought to the attention of court that some schools exercise selective discrimination of students, while admitting this has undermined the ministry's emphasis on equal rights for all children in the country, irrespective of their academic backgrounds.
We are going to have two classes of citizens. Those who are driving on a northern bypass because they have attained education, and those who are beating them with the pavers because they have not attained education. That's what the result of this is. Why is it that condoms are free and pads are not free? For 20 years, we are still talking about pads in school.
Aboneka is asking the ministry through court to ban school requirements.
We are also seeking court's intervention for the minister to ban all these unnecessary, unreasonable, what they call school requirements. Why should one pay fees and also required to take toilet paper to the school? Is the toilet paper for the headmaster or for the student?
These are proposing a bill to Parliament that provides for penalties to those who privatize education, among others.
This bill provides for cautions and penalties for any institution that will violate the law. This bill, if passed into law.
Shaidat Nasaku, UBC News.
Meanwhile, the Ministry of Education and Sports has handed over construction works for facilities in the Albertine Region Technical Institutions to contractors. The facilities are a part of the Albertine Region Sustainable Development Project worth 5.6 billion shillings funded by the World Bank to equip Ugandans with basic and adequate skills in technical knowledge.
On several occasions, employers have complained of inadequate skills exhibited by employees in the job market, even after attaining certain levels of education. This is what has prompted government through the Ministry of Education and Sports to venture into a project funded by the World Bank to bridge the gap of lack of skills. The Ministry of Education and Sports has now embarked on constructing modern workshop facilities across the country. The Albertine Region Sustainable Development Project is envisioned to start with the construction of a carpentry and wood joinery facility at Uganda Technical College Kichwamba in Kabarole District and a modern fabrication workshop at Leke Katwe Technical Institute in Kasese District, respectively. The project's works have officially been handed over to the contractors, and a classic delivery is expected from them.
So, those the use of quantities and the drawings for your information and acquaintance.
The LOC5 chairperson in Kabarole District, Richard Wabuhinga, applauded government's continuous support and asked contractors to consider local population in job allocation for the project.
To us, it is yet another windfall to receive this project, and we are grateful to the presiding Minister of Education, Mama Janet Kataha Museveni, and the entire team at the ministry for this support.
Principals at Uganda Technical College Kichwamba and Leke Katwe Technical Institute commended the project, asserting that they will help train highly qualified Ugandans to compete in the world.
Most of the trainings in carpentry in this country have been going down. Many people are not going for carpentry because of the way it is trained. Now this workshop which we are going to receive will complete, because we shall be training what we call modules of training in woodworking.
Not only training these former students from secondary, but then we've moved to a level of training people who are employed in industry.
The Acting Assistant Commissioner Construction Unit in the Ministry of Education and Sports, Douglas Tumwine, elaborates on government's program of facilitating technical institutions.
The government, and specifically the ministry, is taking keen interest in improving on how these skills are provided, majorly to meet the market demands. So we've had challenges in the job market where people are not equipped with necessary skills to take on those jobs.
The 5.6 billion project is expected to be completed in a period of 9 months. I'm Ivan Juko, reporting for UBC News.
And the National Water and Sewerage Corporation is set to start the execution of the Gulu water supply and sanitation project Phase 2. The water project is to cover 6 towns of Minakulu, Kandin, Bopi, Palenga, Abili and Karoma.
Once again, you've seen that this is a very important project. It's going to be a 10,000 cubic meter project or 10 million liters of water per day project, which is quite big. And this is going to be adding on the existing 10 million liters per day capacity that we have in Gulu. And recently, you know, Gulu became a city, so therefore additional capacity is needed even yesterday. So this is a very, very important project in view of the development agenda of this country. We have a very good experience with Sogea. You start and finish what you have started. That one I will give you credit on that. And you don't only do it quantitatively, you also do it qualitatively. You did a very good job in Katosi recently, giving us a product that we have never had as a corporation at a go. Doing 160 million liters of water per day project at once is quite phenomenal, and that's why we really trust what you do. We have had a few challenges with you in that when we started with you, we used to work in partnership. Of recent, we saw you going legalistic a little bit, meaning that you are not only looking at delivering services for the client or the product for the client, you are also looking at making money. And this has not been the mindset of Sogea. We want to request you to go back to the other one. Yes, we are not saying you do this work at a loss, but also don't do it at the expense of exploiting the corporation, using your lawyers. Yes, you can ambush us and surprise us with very good lawyers in order to take money from us. But I want to request that that does not build a relationship. What builds the relationship is the approach you have always used in the past of saying, I will do a good job and I want to be paid for it. Not, if I find you sleeping, I will make money out of you. So I want to implore Sogea to come back to that partnership that we have always had in the past. And when you compete for the job and get it, we need to be comfortable as an organization that the only thing we shall get from Sogea is quality, is quantity, and is value for money. Not to be tricked with lawyers. You are spending too much money in lawyers to try to claim for this, to claim for that, to claim for that, and waste too much time, both on your side and also on our side. So I want to request you that let's work as partners, as we have always done in the past. So once again, I want to
And River Nyamwamba has gone to sleep. The valley is silent, calm and cool, but the scars of its disastrous action still remain visibly hanging on its banks, with decorative rocks piled in natural architectural designs formed as the heavy waters rolled them back down the stream from Rwenzori Mountains. Let's take a look.
The energetic river has turned into a stream, and this is to waylay its prey to make the authorities forget and think it is done. But the time to showcase its action is about to come. The river channel looks attractive, decorated with huge rocks sitting on small ones, creating a very beautiful scenery landscape up and downstream. The communities have switched on to their daily chores, and schools that were destroyed have relocated and reopened within the valley, awaiting what falls out as the year begins. Mount Rwenzori Royal Ranges, one of the well-established secondary schools in Kilembe Mines Valley, got its final blow in July last year when River Nyamwamba flooded, destroying the entire school. The full-fledged school is having one remaining structure hanging at the edge of the river with a rock set in the doorway of the administrative block. Bulembia Primary School, that was equally destroyed, has relocated in just a few meters on the right side of the valley, but still not safe from the roaring river that changes directions depending on the magnitude of the water and the size of the rocks it rolls downstream. State Minister for ICT and National Guidance Godfrey Kabyanga, during his on-spot assessment tour, commended the district education team for the good work done to ensure pupils and students return to their respective schools.
I'm going to meet the political leaders on Sunday who have agreed to meet so that we go into intensive sensitization and mobilization. And I strongly believe in the next 7 days, 1 week, the turn-up will be good.
He said special arrangements for schools in Kilembe Valley that were affected by the floods and closed due to COVID-19. The Ministry of Water and Environment is in advanced stages to provide a permanent solution to the flood disaster in Kasese and offer a new facelift to the destroyed schools.
In some cases like Bulembia, in the municipality, there are 4 classrooms which were away from they had two sites, and it was one site which was destroyed, another site is still okay. So those 4 classrooms, they have also put temporary tents where the children can be studying, while Ministry of Education is preparing to come and put up other classes.
Mount Rwenzori rivers have for close to 10 years since 2013 caused mayhem to communities living in close range and destroyed property worth millions of money. Jane Niramcha, Stephen Kalisha for UBC News.
Parents, guardians, and caregivers, there's a confirmed polio outbreak in Kampala, and therefore the Ministry of Health will conduct a national house-to-house polio immunization campaign. The first round of the campaign will take place from Friday, the 14th of January to Sunday, the 16th of January 2022 in all districts of Uganda. During the national house-to-house polio immunization campaign, health workers will come to your homes and immunize all your children under 5 years of age. Please note that the national house-to-house polio immunization campaign does not replace the routine immunization. The polio vaccine is safe, effective, and free.
Parents, guardians, and caregivers, please ensure that all your children under 5 years of age are immunized against polio during the National House-to-House Immunization Campaign from Friday 14th January to Sunday 16th January 2022. The dates for the second round of the campaign will be announced in due course. This message is from the Ministry of Health with support from UNICEF, World Health Organization, and partners.
Sasula era kulango okozesa Airtel Money owangula obutitimbe bw'ensimbi tutedewe biliyoni mu n'ekitundu yakwewangulira buli lw'okozesa Airtel Money.
Sebali kwa Patrick ndi agent wa Airtel Money era nawangudde miliyoni 2 era ndi musanyufu nnyo ndi awo nga nyiga *185 hasi.
Joko mukuza Airtel Money joko okuyola kafuwa siringi. Airtel Money yabuliwo yesigika teri konsalo.
Pay school fees conveniently using MTN Momo. Dial *165 *80#. Enter the student code provided by the school. It will show you the student name and the class plus outstanding balance. Enter the amount you want to pay. Enter PIN. You will get a notification confirming payment. It's simple, secure, and convenient.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
It's no secret that ICT makes learning easy.
The strides made in our field could not be possible without it.
And now we can watch our favorite shows.
My radio is my best friend.
UCC provides an enabling regulatory environment and policy guidance for healthy competition. We also facilitate ease of doing business in the communications sector through licensing, standardization, spectrum management, tariff regulation, rural communication development, and consumer empowerment. An informed consumer is an empowered consumer. UCC supports local content and innovations. Driving the development of a robust communication sector in Uganda is Uganda Communications Commission.
You know, you could just buy a new smartphone from anywhere in Uganda. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate their 100% double data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles for 3 months. Better yet, you automatically receive free 1 GB valid for 30 days. You are hooked already, aren't you? Enjoy 100% double data bonus from Airtel. Buy a smartphone from anywhere in Uganda and insert an Airtel SIM card. Dial *175 *94 hash to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Dial *175 hash and select your preferred bundle to activate a 100% data bonus offer on weekly or monthly bundles, valid for 3 months. Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back. You are still watching News Tonight. Now in business news, members of the E-Trade Association are calling upon government to lift the 7 p.m. border curfew, citing it as a major economic setback to the sector. The E-Traders Association partnered with Kasita, the association that represents majority of the informal businesses, to add their voice to the cause at a press conference in Kampala.
We call upon the government to lift unconditionally the ban and curfew on borders, to open the economy unconditionally, to allow Ugandans to work.
While reopening some sectors of the economy, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni maintained the curfew on the border sector, though it remains unclear why.
The curfew was particularly for security reasons, because we are imagining how we would manage society when people didn't have food, when people were locked at home, and was instant. From the way things are today, ladies and gentlemen, if the economy is going to be open, the way government intends to reopen and block the borders from operation, 50% of the intended objective will not be achieved.
According to findings by the PSFU, the border industry directly employs over 2 million people, with over 8 million other people that depend on the sector to earn a living.
But the environment is very difficult. There are no jobs available for these young people. In the border industry, you have the dropouts. In the border industry, you have the certificate holders, you have the diploma holders, you have the degree holders. Actually, as if when we even have people who are in the industry and writing and they have masters.
They decry the curfew for hampering the various value chains.
That means we do not have the turnover that we needed. What does that do? We need to employ less people. What does that do? It creates unemployment. So please, this is my one message.
The E-Trade Association has launched a digital petition for all those in support of this call, with intent to face government with their request in the near future. Wadulo Makanold, UBC News, in Kampala.
From the 44.7 trillion shillings in Uganda's budget, Uganda Development Bank advocates for an increase of 60 billion shillings allocated to this financial year to make it 1 trillion shillings to enable the banking facility support the private sector. Let's see if the country is to fully recover from the economic shock caused by COVID-19.
As a whole, fighting unemployment, reducing poverty and funding more projects that can uplift Uganda's economic growth, Uganda Development Bank undertook the initiative to to assess and offer bails to business that was struggling in the post-COVID-19 era. Totco Uganda Limited, a Lira-based company, is among the companies that have benefited from Uganda Development Bank cash bailouts. It's an agro-processing company that processes sunflower into cooking oil.
Or these loans, if well implemented, are expected to create economic impact in terms of 67,000 jobs, new jobs into the economy. This will also generate output value or productive value equivalent to 8.5 trillion shillings. And also as a result, there would be additional tax contribution of 1.1 trillion shillings.
However, to ably support staggering private companies from collapsing in the post-COVID-19 era, Uganda Development Bank wants its budget portfolio of 60 billion shillings to be increased to 1 trillion.
If you're going to spend 43 trillion shillings in a year, what's wrong with giving out a development bank 1 trillion shillings just out of the 43? And that 1 trillion is for the entire country, for the entire private sector to have access to an affordable credit.
Private sector credit is still very low. Credit to GDP ratio is still very low. In developed countries, it's in over 100%. We are still at an average of 15%. So it means that we really need as much funding in the economy, to drive, to propel production activity.
Patricia Ojangole is the managing director, UDB, says Uganda Development Bank credit facility can only be relevant to private sector if it's only credit worth. Between 2020 and November 2021, the bank approved a total of 926 billion shillings to the applicants received by the bank and disbursed 589 billion into project implementation and recovery, in excess of the total capital that the bank got to fund the private sector. 78% of the disbursed money went into agriculture, agro-industry and manufacturing as the key economic and productive sectors that will support economic resilience. Shaidat in Nasaku, UBC News.
And farmers and business people dealing in vanilla and cocoa in Bundibujo district have decried the decrease in the production of the two crops. They say cocoa and vanilla production has decreased due to climate change, leading to poor harvest.
Bundibujo is one of the districts leading in cocoa and vanilla production in the country. However, latest trends indicate that the hub of cocoa and vanilla is experiencing low production in the two cash crops due to climate change.
We don't know whether the crop has grown very old, that it cannot now persist. It cannot be persistent to the available climate. You can estimate the production now has lowered from like 100% to 30%. So that one is a very big problem, and it has caused the challenge of parents actually not managing to take their children to some distant schools.
According to Agobe Francis, the assistant manager of ESCO Uganda Limited in Bundibujo district, they have worked out a security mechanism with Uganda police that will reduce the number of thieves and armed robbers that are making cocoa and vanilla a risky business.
We have put in place, there's an ordinance in place in regard to cocoa and vanilla theft. And in that ordinance, they formed what they call Wembley, where in each village there is a team that is selected to monitor and to mobilize others to guard against theft.
The farmers have been told to embrace agricultural trainings to gain more skills on how they can handle cocoa and vanilla in the light of climate change.
Meanwhile, Kampala is hosting the 4th Joint Permanent Commission between Uganda and Tanzania. From the 17th to the 19th of this month, top officials drawn from different sectors of the economy will be deliberating on matters of bilateral and mutual interest between the two partner states.
The 4th Joint Permanent Commission is a reciprocal to the last one held in Dar es Salaam in 2019. It's aimed at discussing pertinent issues on trade, legal matters, oil and gas, and strengthening the bilateral ties of Uganda and Tanzania.
Some of the issues we're going to look at today include, are not limited to, political, judicial, trade, social issues, economic. You have talked about oil and gas. We're going to talk about transport. We have a number of developments in areas of transport.
Tanzania reiterated its resolve to continue strengthening the excellent bilateral ties that exist between the two countries. The three-day event comes at a time when the two countries are involved in multiple cross-border projects. Key amongst these is the 1,443 kilometers East African crude oil pipeline.
So it is going to provide employment. It's going to provide, new areas of cooperation, obviously, from Tanga, actually where the project is going to, the main position in Tanzania, all the way to Hoima in Uganda. That whole stretch is people benefiting from that, if they take advantage of that.
The idea is just to have a cross-pollination of the two business community to be able to take advantage of the project so that the two countries benefit, especially the private sector. We have the Joint Business Forum, which managed to bring these two private sector together so that they can be able to see the opportunity of doing business in Tanzania and investing there. And it is vice versa also for the Tanzanian business community.
Government of Uganda confirms that the recent proposal by President Samia Suluhu of the United Republic of Tanzania on the setting up of a permanent Tanzania Ports Authority office in Kampala is being implemented.
We have already identified the housing or accommodation for Tanzania Ports Authority. All the frameworks have been gone through and we got to go. So effective as we speak now, the Tanzania Port Authority is here and also the Tanzania Investment Authority is here.
Despite the fact that Uganda and Tanzania have enjoyed cordial relations for many years, nevertheless, there are emerging challenges which mainly concern trade that need to be amicably addressed. Charlotte Amuge for UBC News.
Now in sports, the 6th edition of the Rita Liguma Foundation Slam Soccer Tournament has climaxed. This project, that's celebrating its 6th year, is enabled through collaborations with others, including the European Football Associations, the UNHCR, and Federation of Uganda Football Associations.
So far, we've had a good training session. All our sessions have been very good. And the girls have picked, when you look at them play now, you see really a team that is ready to play Ghana. We have just one problem, I would say. We have not had a friendly game, and this is simply because of the pandemic, that is the COVID, that is actually disturbing us. But what I'm planning is to have at least an internal game, like we play each other, that will serve as our trial matches. The girls are okay, and I'm sure come 22nd, we shall have the win.
We as goalkeepers want to thank the Almighty God for being there for us. We want to thank also our coaches who have been there for us, who have enabled us to do what we are doing now. And we want to thank our team who have been helping us.
All right, now the national under-20 women's team continues with preparations ahead of the weekend's game. Uganda will face Ghana in the 4th round of the 2022 FIFA Under-20 Women's World Cup qualifiers, with the first leg slated for 22nd January at St. Mary's Stadium, Chitende. The team has started double training sessions as the technical team assesses the fitness levels of each player. The winner between Uganda and Ghana will face either Ethiopia or Tanzania at the final qualifying phase, with this year's edition to be hosted in Costa Rica.
I'm sure come 22nd, we shall have the win.
We as goalkeepers want to thank the Almighty God for being there for us. We want to thank also our coaches who have been there for us, who have enabled us to do what we are doing now. And we want to thank our team who have been helping us to do what we are doing now. As we goalkeepers, we are working together hand in hand with our coaches to make sure that we keep our clean sheet during the Ghana game, and we assure you that we are going to bring the victory.
Meanwhile, Uganda Dance Sport Federation used the COVID-19 years to firmly establish itself with participation at the Outbreak Championship last year in France. Now, the players like Ronald Ndaula and Ibrahim Kaira ably represented the championship, at which Uganda finished at a decent 38th of 113 countries. The four-year-old federation now plans better this year, as explained by its General Secretary Barnabas Sewuyonjo.
After the World Breaking for God Championship that happened in France, this year we are embarking on our calendar to make sure that we prepare athletes that will be representing us in the World Games, which are going to be in Birmingham, in Alabama State, USA, from 7th to 17th July. We have the Red Bull Championship for breakdance and hip-hop, Red Bull Dance Your Style. We know the championships will be in Boston, USA, but we're going to have our nationals in May. We have our media clinic, which we are mobilizing now to mobilize and also train and create awareness to our journalists on how to report the basics and the techniques of dance sport in terms of reporting. So that our clinic is going to be facilitated by our IOC department under the world body of World Dance Sport Federation, since now breaking is a sport in Olympic Games Camp Paris 2024. We also have the World Para Games in dance sport. We have Para Dance, and we are going to send our 2 participants to represent us in the World Para Games. That will be there in April 20 this year, and it's going to be in Holland. So as a federation, we are embarking on that. So we have invited journalists for a media clinic. We are going to have a judging course for our coaches to take them through the judging criteria, especially that one of the folding and travarium system. It's a tablet used in judging and the awarding results to the athletes or to the breakdancers, all big boys or big girls. So that's our calendar right now as a federation, as we are preparing for also for the national secondary school dance sport competitions that will come in May, and also the primary as it was listed in the ministry calendar.
And with that, let's quickly take a look at the top stories making the headlines.
Brought to you by
How to get points. Just use MTN to make calls, send SMS, load airtime, buy bundles, or pay for MTN subscription services.
Everywhere you go, MTN.
President Yoweri Museveni pardoned 79 prisoners. Mandatory COVID-19 testing called off at border points. KCCA enforcement to remove all kiosks on streets. And Uganda in early preparations ahead of the game against Ghana.
Was brought to you by Everywhere you go, MTN.
Well, that does it for News Tonight. Thank you for sticking with us. Elizabeth Nakakoni on sign language. I am Rhoda Ngonzi. Have yourselves a lovely night.
fees conveniently using MTN Momo. Dial *165 *80 hash. Enter the student code provided by the school. It will show you the student name and the class plus outstanding balance. Enter the amount you want to pay. Enter PIN. You will get a notification confirming payment. It's simple, secure, and convenient.
Everywhere you go, MTN. Raising voices.
As a teacher, I have the opportunity to shape how children grow and learn. I believe in creating a non-violent school where children feel safe and respected. I promise to lead by example and create a different kind of relationship with my learners, one that helps them grow.
In this time of COVID, what is your promise to the children of Uganda? Because a violence-free childhood is everyone's right. Raising voices.
Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs. The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless. Mohamed Salah, Naby Keita, Kalidou Koulibaly, Sadio Mane, Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang. When you hear these names, you may think you're probably watching the English Premier League or UEFA Champions League, but it's none of those. It's the 2021 Total Energies Africa Cup of Nations from 9th January to February 6, 2022. All these global elite football stars will be in Cameroon to grace the continent's most prestigious sporting event. 52 games, 24 countries, 1 continent, 1 trophy, 1 station, live, free and exclusive to your public broadcaster. UBC, inspiring Uganda. Transact and win money after money with Airtel Money. 1.5 billion shillings in cash prizes up for grabs.
I'm Sendikadiwa Martin, a student of Chambogo University. I've been a lucky winner of 10 million Ugandan shillings, and I'm really excited as I'm ending this year with all that lots of money. Guys, it's real. Just dial *185.
The more you transact, the higher your chances of winning. Airtel Money. Instant, secure, borderless.
Beyond Beauty Parlor and Spa, your beautification destination. We believe in suitable beauty. We offer pedicure and manicure, makeup, hairstyling, plating, weaving, dreadlocks, massage, waxing, facial and body scrub, name it. We also offer additional services like honeymoon packages, hiring venues, and vehicles for brides and grooms. Training interns from different beauty schools. We are located on Uganda House,